It's back to finance and markets for our regular Future Shock 2.0 segment with workforce trends expert Ira Wolfe. Ira Wolfe, welcome back for Future Shock 2.0. The unemployment rate in the US is now at 3.5%, just a tad up from where it was in January. But we see a rising unemployment claims, and we have forecasts from a lot of economists that it's going to rise later in the year, and we may shift from gangbuster job growth to actual job losses on a monthly basis. The Fed's interest rate rising campaign is kicking in. Credit conditions are tightening. We had the recent bank crisis. A lot of consumers are strapped for cash and have spent a lot of that COVID money that was issued during the pandemic. How do you see it shaping up?
Yeah, thanks, John. We've talked about this a lot, but we were talking about prolonged unemployment, that we've had 12 recessions since 1945, and in no recession up to this point has unemployment been below 6%. So the common kind of the traditional approach to this was the Fed raises interest rates, the economy slows down, things, especially with inflation, things became more costly, businesses cut back and laid off people. And some of that we've seen, but it's not global. It's not universal. Certainly technology's been hard hit, and then all the impacted businesses around that. But there's still businesses that are really struggling to find people. Despite what happens with the economy, and people may not be able to afford it, but we still need healthcare workers. We still have an aging population. We're still manufacturing goods. We still have transportation. So all those industries maybe the growth slows, but it can't stop because we need them on an everyday basis. But on the unemployment rate, I've been saying this for a while based on everything that I've read, is that, again, we're still debating whether we have a recession or not, whether it'll be a soft landing, whether we ever have a recession. But most people are predicting that it's going to be relatively short. But we were predicting that the unemployment rate would go up to maybe 4.5%. We're far from that. We're a full percentage point off that, right now. So will it go up to 4 to 5%? Yeah, probably, but it's still far. But I remember a time when 5% unemployment was full employment. So we're sort of going back to that stage, but it's not the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% that we've had in some prior, recessions, or even going back to, 2008, 2009, when it was significantly, higher. So it's going to, but here's the outlier. And I've raised this question a million times. Is that since 1945, we've had baby boomers coming into the work. And then, so for 20 years, we had baby boomers, and then we had Gen X. But there were so many baby boomers coming in that the Gen X blip, which is only half the size of baby boomers, didn't really impact it. But we still had new blood coming into the workforce. And then we had the millennials, which is even a larger population. So since 1950 to 2010, we had baby boomers, Gen X, and millennials. Almost about 2 million people a year, new workers a year, were coming into the workforce. If you look at a chart now, you lop off the baby boom and you look at Gen Z, and then the next generation is Gen Alpha. So if you look over the next 15 to 20 years, there's on average 500,000 new workers a year coming in versus 2 million new workers coming in. So yes, we can have a lot of people laid off and a lot of people out of jobs. Some of those jobs are going to be automated, but a lot of those people are going to retire. They're going to be out of the workforce. But we don't have new blood coming in, and we're certainly not going to get a immigration policy passed, which every economist also agrees that if we have a robust economy, if we are creating jobs, if we have these jobs open, that we need immigration to help solve it, because we don't have enough warm bodies. So as we lose the baby boomers, and we don't have these, the younger population just aren't as robust. I mean, they're a quarter of the size. Then we could afford to have unfilled jobs if some of those jobs are automated. So there could be less people employed, and we still have a growing economy with a higher GDP. The problem is now we have a larger dependent society. So we have more people that are unemployed or unemployable because of skill gaps. So it's really complicated. So if we strictly look at the unemployment rate I think it's going to be 4 to 5%, but that's just scratching the surface of what some of the challenges are. And again, if we're looking at having a high GDP or a growing GDP and even relatively moderate unemployment, we're in this never normal world. But we're going to have a lot more people that are out of work. But I think the economy can still grow. But then we just start dividing our society into the haves and the have-not.
Ira Wolfe, another jaw-dropping and mind-blowing segment. We'll have you back next week. Thank you. More from Ira Wolfe on our next episode. Ira is a workforce trends expert, a top 5 global thought leader in his field, author, TEDx talker, and host of the top-rated Geeks, Geezers and Googleization podcast. I'm your host, John Aidan Byrne.